I wasn't surprised at her emotions. I knew that she would have a hard time with it. And I knew that, I mean, here's the thing. Robin came into the family wanting to have a plural family, wanting to have sister wives. Sure. And
I don't know what went wrong between us, but it made me angrier and angrier until I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Those were her words, simple, final, and yet behind them was a tidal wave of emotion a decade's worth, of being dismissed, controlled, spiritually manipulated, and emotionally starved. But nothing prepared viewers for what came next. Because when Kody Brown, the self-proclaimed spiritual head of a crumbling empire, allegedly implied that Christine should remain celibate even after leaving their failed marriage, she didn't flinch, she didn't cry, she laughed. A sharp, unfiltered, irreverent laugh. And that laugh wasn't petty, it was powerful. It was the sound of freedom. Narration begins in a moment that will forever live in Sister Wives history. Christine Brown did what so many women trapped in patriarchal faith structures only dream of. She said no. And then she laughed in the face of control. Insiders revealed that Kody never explicitly used the word celibate, but the subtext was there. His language was drenched in implication that Christine should remain spiritually pure, that she still belonged to him, that despite walking away, her body, her soul, her afterlife, still tethered to a man who hadn't loved her for years. And when she heard it, she didn't pray. She didn't seek approval. She laughed, a laugh that cracked the air like thunder, emotional truth bomb. Because what do you do when the man who ghosted you emotionally, spiritually, and physically suddenly believes he still holds the key to your destiny? You laugh. You laugh because it's insane, because it's insulting, because it reveals everything we feared about Kody's version of faith. This wasn't just about broken hearts. This was about a doctrine that tried to turn a woman's soul into a possession, one that told her even if he forgets you, you still belong to him forever. But Christine, she was done playing the eternal servant to a man who chose another woman in plain sight. She wasn't just walking away from a marriage, she was tearing down a system that demanded her submission. Powerful contrast. Remember this? This is the same Kody Brown who courted Robin in secret while still married to 3 women, who weaponized religion when it suited him, who punished Christine for daring to want a romantic partnership while he spoon-fed affection too. Robin on national television. Now he wanted Christine to carry the weight of his spiritual guilt, to stay celibate so that he could feel more righteous in some future celestial courtroom. Christine saw through it, and that laugh. It wasn't just about Kody. It was about every woman who has ever been told to shrink herself for someone else's salvation. Faith versus freedom. Because in the doctrine, Kody clung to us passively. United Brethren's twisted interpretation of Section 132 women are taught that their loyalty must survive beyond death. That leaving the man doesn't sever the seal. That salvation is obedience 7 if the man she's sealed to no longer shows up. They used the word destroyed in their holy books. That's what awaited Christine if she strayed. But Christine? She didn't fear destruction. She feared staying small. Visuals for this segment. Christine walking into her Utah home, glowing. Kody slumped on Robin's porch, arms folded, fuming. Flashbacks to Christine crying in early seasons. Her new wedding photos with David Woolley. Christine filming her. Cooking show, laughing. Emotional crescendo. She wasn't just rejecting Kody. She was rejecting captivity. Christine's transformation wasn't petty. It wasn't revenge. It was rebirth. She didn't need Kody's permission to move on. And she sure as hell didn't need his ghostly claim on her afterlife. And that laugh? That was Christine reclaiming her soul. Fan reaction segment. When the scene aired when fans pieced together what he'd implied, social media erupted. Thousand wrote, "He abandoned her, and now he wants control over her future too." Her laugh was everything. The sound of a woman setting herself free. Because what Kody saw as betrayal, fans saw as a resurrection. Narration, climax. Christine's smile wasn't just about finding David, it was about reclaiming her self-worth. It was about undoing years of quiet obedience and emotional starvation. No man, no faith, no dusty doctrine could demand her silence anymore. She wasn't destroyed, she was reborn. Final lines echo like a mic drop. And when Kody tried to dangle eternity over her like a noose, she didn't tremble, she didn't kneel, she laughed, and that laugh changed everything. You don't get to claim my eternity. You couldn't even show up in my reality. That wasn't said out loud, but it was heard. It was heard in Christine's laughter. It was felt in Janelle's stillness. And it echoed like a war drum through a fandom that had watched these women suffer in silence for too long. Because what Kody Brown didn't anticipate, what he couldn't control, was what would happen when the women he thought would stay, sealed and silenced, started to wake up, seeing Christine's breaking point. It began with a suggestion, quiet, loaded, controlling. Kody allegedly implied that Christine, after everything, should remain spiritually pure, that she had some lingering cosmic obligation to him, even after walking away from their emotionally barren marriage. It wasn't just inappropriate, it was offensive. And Christine, she didn't cry, she didn't scream, she laughed, because she knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't grieving her departure, he was trying to claim ownership of her soul. Emotional contrast. Let's not forget, this is the same man who courted Robin in secret, who kissed her, touched her, whispered promises while still legally and spiritually married to 3 women. And yet, when Christine Durs, years after, leaving to find love again, suddenly she's impure. Suddenly she's the one disrespecting the faith. Kody's hypocrisy didn't just drip from his words, it poured out of him. He once mocked Christine's relationship with David as infatuation, as if the woman who gave him decades of loyalty couldn't possibly recognize real love. Because in Kody's world, Christine's heart still belonged to him. Even if he stopped showing up, even if he gave all his affection to another woman, even if he had emotionally abandoned her long before she ever left. Fan response plus righteous rage. And fans, they saw it. They felt it. He expects her to be celibate after the way he treated her. She owed him nothing. Nothing. That laugh was the sound of chains breaking. Christine didn't just move on, she exposed a lie. That the sealings, the obedience, the purity, they weren't about faith anymore. They were about power. Religious double standard laid bare under the rules of the Apostolic United Brethren. Relationships were supposed to be swift and sacred. No kissing, no physical affection, no drawn-out romances. Yet Kody and Robin's courtship dragged on for a year, hugging, kissing, flaunting intimacy, while Christine, Janelle, and Mary were still spiritually sealed to him. Even Janelle once said, if I'd had a year to get to know him, I don't think I would have married him. Christine went further, calling Kody and Robin's relationship inappropriate under the very religious rules Kody used to control the rest of them. And that word, inappropriate, isn't casual. In their world, it means adulterous, immoral, damning. So the next time Kody invokes spiritual loyalty, remember, he broke the rules. He bent them when it served him. And now he's crying. Foul, because Christine won't play the game anymore. Christine's laugh equals liberation. Her laugh didn't just mock Kody's absurd suggestion. It destroyed the illusion that he had any authority left. It was a declaration. You don't get to dictate my worth. You don't get to decide if I'm pure. You lost that power the moment you stopped showing up. Enter Janelle. The quiet earthquake, and just when you thought the ground couldn't shake harder, Janelle began to stir. The practical one. The grounded one. The loyal one who had always done what needed to be done. She started asking questions, big ones, about love, about partnership, about dating, not just spiritually, but romantically. And that's when everything began to fall apart for Kody. Because if even Janelle the Rock was questioning the foundation, then maybe that foundation was already cracked beyond repair. Spiritual shackles exposed, fans started wondering, were Christine and Janelle still sealed to Kody in the eyes of their faith? And if so, why were they allowed to move on? The AUB's doctrine is crystal clear. A woman sealed to a man remains bound to him for eternity, even if she leaves in this life, and breaking that spiritual seal. It's not easy. Some believe it can only be undone by a priesthood leader. Others are told it's permanent, that their salvation is still linked to a manavin if he no longer loves or supports them. This belief, it isn't about hope. It's about fear. It's about control. It's the exact tool Kody allegedly used to keep the illusion of spiritual dominance long after the marriages were dead. But Christine and Janelle, they cut the cord. Not officially. Not in some heavenly court, but in their actions. They were smiling, dating, living. Not one of them was looking back, waiting for Kody's blessing. Rebellion without permission. This was revolutionary, because for years these women were taught that even if they walked away, they were still his, still sealed, still accountable to his version of salvation. But Christine's laugh said, "You can keep your afterlife. I'm choosing joy in this one." Janelle's quiet shift said, "If I can't ask for what I want, what am I even doing here?" And together, they weren't just breaking free. They were rewriting the ending. Meanwhile, Robin watches, and just as the dust began to settle, another figure emerged, Robin. But not with declarations or defense, with tears, with carefully timed silences, with that all-too-familiar look of devastation she's mastered over the years. Lately, her tone has shifted. She hasn't named Christine or Janelle directly, but the implication is thick in every sigh, every trembling voice clip. She's not mourning a broken family. She's mourning the loss of control, the loss of being the only one who Kody listens to, because now Kody is spinning. The wives are gone. The doctrine is crumbling. And all that remains is truth. Closing lines, emotional mic drop. Christine's laugh, it wasn't defiance, it was survival. It was a woman saying, "You don't get to define me. You don't get to claim my future. You couldn't even be present in my past." And Janelle. Her silence now speaks louder than Kody's sermons. Because when women like Christine and Janelle stop waiting for permission, the whole system shakes. And this time, it's not going back together. It started with a laugh. Not a cruel one, not mocking. Just a full-bodied, eyes lit up, shoulders loosened kind of laugh. The kind that doesn't ask for permission. The kind that says, "I'm finally free." And in that single moment, everything Kody Brown had worked so hard to control began to unravel. 'Cause Christine didn't just walk away, she smiled doing it. And that smile, that laugh, echoed across the lives of women everywhere who had once been told to sit down, stay quiet, and sacrifice in the name of spiritual duty. But this time, the story didn't end in silence. It ended in defiance. In joy. And it shook the very foundation of the world Kody built. Christine's defiance or Kody's fear. When Christine left, Kody didn't just feel loss. He felt insulted. He didn't see her new relationship as joy, as healing, as growth. He saw it as betrayal, as spiritual disobedience. He mocked it, called it an infatuation, dismissed it, like it was temporary, as if her 2 decades of loyalty to him still held weight after he'd emotionally checked out of their marriage years ago. But when he secretly courted Robin while still spiritually sealed to 3 other wives, that, in his mind, was love. That was noble. That was divine purpose. And that hypocrisy, it didn't just irritate fans, it infuriated them. Because Kody didn't want Christine to move on. He wanted her to wait, to remain sealed to him in faith, even if he no longer showed up in love. He wanted to stay at the center of her story without having to write himself in anymore. The rules were always one-sided. Christine's laughter wasn't just joy, It was rebellion. She knew exactly what Kody was doing when he hinted that her new relationship was inappropriate. He was playing the same tired card that, too, many women have been dealt for too long: purity, obedience, spiritual guilt. He wanted her to feel like she still belonged to him, but she didn't. Not spiritually, not emotionally, not anymore. And while Kody was busy quoting doctrine, Christine was busy living, dating, smiling, embracing a life that had room for her joy. She wasn't waiting for the church, for the bishop, or for Kody to unseal her. She unsealed herself. Millions of women watching, they felt it, because deep down they knew this was about more than a marriage. This was about power. The woman who stayed silent for too long. Janelle had always been the steady one, practical, private, quiet. But something shifted after Christine left. She started to speak up, to ask questions, to say the unsayable. I want more. I deserve more. She began hinting that she might date again. That love, real, romantic, messy love, could be hers too. And just like that, Kody's house of spiritual cards began to flutter. Because if Janelle, the ever-faithful, the rationale, the compliant wife, was no longer on board, then the illusion of unity was truly gone. What Kody didn't count on was that these women were no longer afraid of being alone. They were afraid of staying stuck. It's a seal that lost its power under a UB doctrine. Sealing isn't just a ceremony, it's a contract. Spiritual tether. It's belief that even after death, you belong to that man. But breaking that seal, that's murky. Some say only priesthood leaders can do it. Others believe it never breaks, not even in death. And that fear, that belief that they were still bound forever, even in misery, it's what Kody used to hold control long after the marriages had crumbled. But Christine and Janelle aren't living like they're sealed anymore. They're dating, smiling, building new families. They stopped asking permission. And that's a revolution. Enter Robin, the strategist, in tears, and then, like a slow piano note, dropped into a silent room. Robin re-entered the narrative. With whispered words, tearful confessionals, and heavy sighs, she mourned the family's fragmentation. But it wasn't Kody's favoritism she focused on. It wasn't the emotional neglect, the double standards, or the broken promises. No, she focused on Christine leaving, Christine's betrayal, Christine breaking the family apart. And viewers noticed the sorrow sounded suspiciously like guilt tripping. Some even whispered what many had been thinking for years. Robin is no longer just Kody's favorite wife. She's his mouthpiece. But Christine didn't come to play along, and while Robin sobbed and Kody simmered, Christine simply laughed. That laugh, it shattered the illusion, because it said, you don't get to claim my eternity when you couldn't even show up in my reality. She dropped the doctrine, the duty, and the decades of waiting and walked into a life that was finally hers. And here's the truth that makes it so powerful. She's not just surviving, it's thriving. She found love, found family. She found herself, Kody's panic, losing the narrative, not just the women and Kody. He's cracking, not just bitter, panicked. His interviews sound more defensive, his tone more agitated. His references to Christine more desperate. Cause she was never supposed to actually leave. And she definitely wasn't supposed to. Glow up. He expected regret, not radiance. He thought she'd fade quietly, not shine louder than ever. But every time her smile lights up the screen, it reminds him she's not asking for forgiveness. She's not waiting for a blessing. She's not his anymore. And the worst part, she's happier for it. This was never just about one woman. Christine's laugh was a moment, but it became a movement. Spoke to every woman who'd been told her worth depended on her obedience. To every mother who stayed silent to protect her children. To every wife who was told to endure in the name of God. It said, you can leave. You can still be whole. You can still be holy. And the wave it sparked, it's not stopping. So ask yourself this. Was it Christine's laugh that broke Kody? Or was it what the laugh represented, that women like her won't wait anymore? that joy doesn't have to be earned through suffering. That eternal families aren't built on silence and shame, they're built on love. And Christine, she chose love. Not fear, not rules, not submission. Just love. Call to action outro. So now we ask you, do you think Kody ever truly believed Christine would stay single forever? Is Robin still trying to keep the wives spiritually trapped in a dynamic that only serves them? And what would you say to Christine? If you could, drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because the next video, oh, trust me, you won't want to miss it. Christine's just getting started and the fallout is far from over.